Hi students. Welcome back to the second episode of our first chapter, crop production and animal husbandry. In the first session, we have studied detail about the heading of this particular chapter. What is crop? What is management? What is animal husbandry? And in the second point, we studied in the same class what is the concept of farming, agriculture. And today we are going to study the third point, that is types of crops. In India, farmers grow different types of crops based on the climatic condition, weather, temperature, and humidity. So, according to that, these crops have been grouped into three. First, we will study kharif crops. Kharif crops means the crops which are grown usually during monsoon. They need a lot of amount of water. So the crops that is grown during monsoon are normally grouped into kharif crops like paddy. Paddy means rice, maize, soybean, and different vegetables, etc. grown comes under kharif crops. And second is rabi crops. Rabi crops means normally they require less amount of water and normal temperature, less temperature. That is why this type of crop normally grown during winter. For example, wheat, gram, mustard, etc. Such type of crops grown during winter season, and these crops are grouped into rabi crops. And third type of crops, they are normally grown in old season, not based on the climatic condition, but the purpose itself divided into another session, that is cash crops. Here the concept explains any type of crops which is produced not for the purpose of eating, human consumption, but they are produced as a raw materials for many industries or medicinal purpose. Such type of crops are called cash crops. For example, rubber, cotton, jute, such type of crops which are grown meant for earning cash money. That's why they are grouped into cash crops. Students. Now let us study the last point of this chapter, that is nitrogen cycle. It's a natural phenomenon of changing, the conversion of atmospheric nitrogen into different forms through different agents. These changes or conversions of atmospheric nitrogen and comes back into the atmospheric stage. This total circle, this total procedures, the total cycle are grouped into these concepts and nitrogen cycle. Here, these are the steps that nitrogen undergoes and comes back into the real atmospheric situation. So first, the atmospheric nitrogen goes back into a nitrogen fixation. Then it goes changes into assimilation. And nitrogen cycle also includes a procedure of ammonification and nitrification and denitrification are the various stages that atmospheric nitrogen undergoes and comes back again to the atmosphere as into the air. These various steps are totally called nitrogen cycle. So let us go back to the first procedure, change of nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen in the air is converted by plants into nitrates or nitrites, ammonia, through their roots, through their biological procedures. This conversion of atmospheric nitrogen is called nitrogen fixation. This is done in two ways. There are two methods, two things are done in changing the nitrogen into nitrogen fixation. First is atmospheric nitrogen fixation. What is atmospheric nitrogen fixation? When lightning takes place, nitrogen in the air reacts with the oxygen and converts into ammonia nitrates. And this is washed through the rainwater and mixes into the soil and alkalis and changing a dilute nitric acid. This nitric acid makes the soil fertile to create nitrogen. So this is what atmospheric procedure of nitrogen fixation. Then second method of nitrogen fixation is biological nitrogen fixation. In this, microorganisms, animals, plants, even human beings are engaged. Bacteria, algae like organisms, they convert this atmospheric nitrogen into nitrates and nitrites or ammonia and deposits on the roots of the soil plants. And another, many such organisms die and decay, and they mix up with the soil, releasing lot of nitrogen into the soil. And farmers, they add nitrogenous fertilizers in order to increase the fertility of the soil, and this helps the soil to get nitrogen. So here many agents like microorganisms, plants, animals, and even human being becomes a link in changing this atmospheric nitrogen. This way, conversion of nitrogen is called nitrogen fixation. Yes, student. The next link of nitrogen cycle is assimilation. Here, assimilation refers the consumption of nitrogen by animals and plants. They cannot directly consume the atmospheric nitrogen. For that, plants they absorb nitrogen components like ammonia, nitrites or nitrates, and they convert them into proteins. But animals cannot make this conversion. So what they do, herbivorous animals, they eat plants, and carnivorous animals, they consume other animals. In this way, they indirectly consume the nitrogen. So this concept, assimilation, explains the different methods of consumption of nitrogen by plants and animals. So the atmospheric nitrogen get into the part of the body of animals and plants in different way. This consumption of nitrogen is referred in assimilation. Yes, friend. The next link of nitrogen cycle is ammonification. When plants and animals die, their bodies get decomposed in the soil, and they make mix with the soil into ammonia or ammonium compounds with the help of some bacteria or decomposers. So the body parts of the organism again comes back into the soil in the form of ammonia or ammonium compounds. This procedure is called ammonification. The fourth stages of nitrogen cycle is nitrification. This is the conversion of ammonia into nitrites and then into nitrates by nitrogen fixing bacteria. What is nitrites? When nitrates have less amount of oxygen, that component is called nitrites, and these nitrates will be converted into nitrates by nitrifying bacteria. This procedure is called this changes of ammonia into nitrate is called nitrification. And the last stage of nitrogen cycle is denitrification. In some special cases, when there is less oxygen, some special bacteria, they can convert nitrates into nitrogen gas. So this procedure is done by some special bacteria, and this is what called denitrification. So this way, the nitrogen undergoes various changes and comes back into atmosphere as again. So into the air as nitrogen. So here we can see the nitrogen goes in various stages and through the process of dendrification, it reaches into the air again. This entire procedure is called nitrogen cycle. Yeah, students, so the first chapter is over. Now here I will forward certain questions, and questions of your books also will be circled and forward, and other exercises like fill in the blanks, yes or no, match the column, and I will solve and send it through PDF. You are requested to do all these works on your fair copy. And the same time, I hope the last class I had given you some questions and you might have done it up. I believe so. And if any doubt there, you can contact me through the phone number given on the PDF. And this way you solve this, complete the exercise of first chapter. And next week I will come with the next chapter. Bye bye.